Hi, I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Icom recently upgraded their firmware for the Icom 7300, which is our reference rig, so we need to get that updated. And I've got it right here. Nice little radio, I really like it. And so we're going to update the firmware from version 1.3 to version 1.4. And I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. Now, all modern radios, you can update the firmware. Usually the manufacturer will put out a few updates in the few months after putting out the radio, and then that's about it. But it's been several years since this radio came out, and we got this new firmware update, so great. It actually adds some capability. What I'm going to explain in this video is step-by-step how to update the firmware and keep your settings, your same settings that you had before. And in an upcoming video, I'll go through the features that have been added. So let's jump in to how to update the firmware. We're going to take a look at upgrading the firmware on the Icom 7300, which is the reference station. If we go to the Icom America webpage, icomamerica.com, this is about what you'll see. You see amateur, avionics, land mobile, marine, and network, and we're interested in amateur, so go ahead and click on that. Once you get to this page right here, you want to click over here on the 7300. They've got the radios over here. Note that there's a little button right here. You may have to go over to the side to pick that one up. Now, once you are on that page, it's got the Icom 7300, okay, click on Firmware Software. Now, I also want to point out, since we've got a picture of the radio here, see right here under this knob, this is where the little SD card is located. This SD card is key to everything. And we're just going to start with the SD card in the radio and with the radio on. Now, having gone to the Icom webpage, click on Firmware Software there, and you'll come up with this. You'll see USB drivers. You want the latest version, but note they were introduced in 2018. This is a new piece of firmware that's just out like 2 days ago. 2021-02-26, it's the firmware for the Icom 7300. It is the red thing that you click on to get it right there. This brings you up to the firmware download page, which is a long page. I'm just showing you the top of it, but it's version 1.4 that you want. This shows the major changes that are in there: scroll mode, pop-up screen, edge memory, scope functions, other things that they've done. They've also done an interesting thing for FT8, where you can hold special settings in there for that. That's kind of interesting. So this talks about what you will have in there after you update. Now, if you're on version 1.3, which you probably are, this is 1.07 for the DSP program. The DSP data, which is their reference data, is version 1. And the Field Programmable Gate Array, or FPGA, is version 1.13. The only thing that will change will be the main CPU. Okay. Then go down a little bit further, and you have to, regarding the download service, basically what they're saying is if the power drops while you're doing the updating, you can brick your radio, and it ends up having to go in for repair to fix that. So don't do that. It's not like you've got a huge amount of control on it, but don't do that. Anyway, you have to click there that you've read, understood, and agree. And then you click on the download. This will turn red after you click right there. Click on the download, okay? And it will show up as a compressed zip folder. Now, I put my downloads by company. See, I've got all these downloads over here from various different organizations, including the ARRL. and so that I can find them readily. Now this means manuals, everything that comes down will go into that. There we're going to download 7300_140.zip. All right, and it will show up right here. It's a zip file. Now you will right click on that, and you will find when you extract compressed zip folders, select a destination and extract files, you're going to just keep the default and click OK, and then it will show that in a folder. This is the folder that has been downloaded and unzipped. Note that it has a single file in it. You kind of want to keep this up because that's the file you want. We're going to put that on a little SD card, and I'll show you how to do that, okay? The instructions for doing this are in the full manual, which is the one that you have to print yourself. This is not in the simple manual that comes with the radio, but it's in the full one, updating the firmware. It's very straightforward, and I'm going to go through the procedures one by one. First, let's go to the radio. Now, I've got an arrow pointing here below the attenuator, and there's a menu button right here that you want to push. When you push that menu button, you get this menu. By the way, this menu will be different after you update your firmware. You click on Set right here, and then you're going to have to go to page 2. This takes you back to page 1. It says down to page 2. Go to the SD card, okay, which you've got in there. If you don't have an SD card, you're not going to do this. So I would think everybody would want an SD card in their radio to keep their settings and these pictures. By the way, these pictures are all taken using the screen capture and stored on the SD card. So what you're going to do is click on that or touch that. You touch all these, and you'll get these things right here, and you click on information or touch information, touch version, and you'll get this right here. This is what is in your computer. This is what is in your radio right now, and the only one that's going to change is the main CPU. Okay, so let's go down a few here. Go back from menu. Go back to the menu using this little back key right here. See where it says loops back right here. That loops back. Get back to set. Go back to the SD card again. And now we're going to click when we click on the SD card, we get this. We're going to be on page 2, okay? And that means you have to push this right here to get up to page 1. You get up to page 1, you're going to press Save Setting. And I keep calling it clicking on it. We aren't clicking on it, we're pressing it. Okay, Save Setting. Now what this does is save all the settings you've put in the radio. This is memories, your band pass, your band stack, register, and so on. We're going to save it, and you press that. We're going to save it to a new file right here. Okay, so we press on new file. We get something here, we can name it. Note it can't be very long. I started to make something a little more descriptive, but it cut me off. So I labeled it Settings 2021-02-28, which is today, okay? And then when you're done with that, you press the Ent key, E-N-T, for Enter, all right? And then it will ask you, do you want to save the file? And of course, you click Yes. Now, once you click Yes, you want to go back into the SD card settings and you'll go down, see here, right here, to the second page of the SD card display by clicking on this. Here is Unmount right here, and then you click Unmount OK. Now, unmount's an old term from computer, has to do with whether the computer's actually looking at the drive. You're going to go yes, you're going to unmount it, and then you're going to reach down and physically remove the SD card, and now you're going to put your SD card into your computer. Now, this is a Windows. It will work also on Apple, okay? Assuming that, well, Apple can unzip, yes. All right, it's G on mine. It's got IC-7300s and settings, and you can see right there is your settings. But now, actually, oddly enough, it wants to have the card at the IC-7300 level. So we're going to go back up one level here. We're going to click on that IC-7300, or you can click on the up here, but 7300. And in the 7300, beside the system volume information, and if you have it set up to hide hidden files, you won't even see that. Icom 7300, this is where we want the new firmware. So double click on IC-7300 and you will get this. This up at the top is the removable drive. This down at the bottom is where you have that DAT file. I've got it in downloads, Icom 7300_140. Okay, we need to move that, or not move it, copy it, from there up to the removable drive card. Okay, so there we do it. We have moved it up here. This is the SD card. This is my main computer here, okay? So now go back to your radio, which looks like it did when you last left it, okay? Put the SD card in the radio. You have to push it in all the way till it clicks. If it pops back out on you, you haven't pushed it in far enough. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to Menu and click Set right there. Okay. And on page 2 after Set, we're going to go to the SD card. And then once we've done that, we're going to go to the second page under SD card, and we see Firmware Update. Okay, now there's no room, from now on, there's no room for fat fingers. You've got to do it right, okay? Click on Firmware Update, and it will give you this. This can be very put-offish, really put you off. Updating the firmware is very risky. If you may make a mistake, the 7300 may not operate properly, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we don't want to do that, so we're going to be careful. You undertake the updating of the firmware at your own risk. That is a bit, oh, I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, they give you the firmware, they tell you can update. This is one of the big sales features of the Icom radios and all radios, is that you can update the firmware. But they're saying here, it's at your own risk. But a lot of times the firmware's under warranty to give new features. This does not make sense in my mind. But anyway, we will then click over here to get the bottom page. There's the bottom page. Okay. Making a backup file, the program contents, and setting onto the SD card before updating is recommended. By the way, this firmware adds a feature where you will be able to just click a button and it will automatically update your settings for you. But that isn't installed yet. Do you agree to all of the above? No, I don't, but I'm going to push yes anyway. Okay. And then it will take a while. No, I'm sorry, it won't either. The next screen is this one right here, asking if this is the correct firmware update. Okay, because you might still have this on your SD card when 1.5 comes out. Then you get this, when you press on that, you get this. Updating the firmware, take about a minute, will restart. Okay, do you wish to start the firmware update? Yes, you click yes. Okay, after having done that, you want to go back to set again. Notice now that this menu has changed. It used to be this was the entire menu. They've added something else for the digital settings. But you're going to click on Set right there. Okay, and then go to the SD card, which is on page 2. And then click on the first page of the SD card settings, click Load Setting. Okay, and then you remember that you put in, we named it 0228, so you're going to load this one. You press on that, and you can choose between all or select part of the settings. Obviously, I clicked all, and lo and behold, there I go. I have got the screen, and it looks a little different. See this thing up here that says kilohertz? This has to do with the multi-knob. The multi-knob can have some additional features now, okay? There are lots of little things that they have changed. Now, what have they changed? Well, go back to that Icom web page where you found the 7300 and click on Instruction Manual. Instruction Manual. Okay, it'll give you this long list of stuff. The basic manual is the printed manual that came with the radio. The full manual is the one that you printed out before and had spiral bound. And then there is a firmware update information. Firmware update information, okay. That is what you want to click on. And when you click on it, you get this thing you've got to agree, and then you get a download. And you download that and put it on your hard drive. I put it in with my Icom stuff. And this is the top of that page. It's 13 pages in color of information about version 1.4. Interestingly, at the back of this, there's some information about firmware upgrade 1.3. And so, our last chart, I want to just warn you when you print this. This is set up for international size paper, not for American size paper. So what you have to do when you go to print it is fit to printable area. Okay? I like to print it on both sides, but you need to fit to the printable area. Otherwise, the top and the bottom of the page will be cut off. And you don't want that, obviously. Okay, so that gives you now the supplement to the instruction manual that you can go through and get all of the features. This, by the way, is what the printout looks like. It's got all kinds of things. Some of it very, very detailed that you'll never look at. Other things that tell you what the new screen is and so on. Also at the back there's some information on version 1.13. So there we did it. We successfully, and I did these in real time. I had not previously done it, and then we did the charts. I showed you, I made the charts as I did it. So I hope you found that interesting and useful information. I know a lot of you out there have the 7300s, so you are now armed and ready to update the firmware, and if you follow those steps, you should be in good shape. And in the large manual, this is the full manual, section 15 down here is updating the firmware. So there's several pages in here that cover those same steps. that we covered in the video. So there you have it. And I hope that it's going to be March tomorrow. March has spring, starts in the middle of it or toward the end of it. And down here, March is usually what we call mud season, meaning all the snow melts. I'm waiting for the snow to melt so I can get out in the backyard and do something with my antennas. I've had an antenna go bad. I don't know if it's the deer ate the coax or chipmunks ate it or whatever, but we'll figure that out. So if you would like to contribute financially to this channel, you can do so by going to dcasler.com/support and looking for a variety of ways in there, one of which may suit you very well. Also available there are the thumb drives for my training videos, if you would rather have them on that than watch them on YouTube. Thank you so much for your time, and until we next meet, 73.